Hey guys, it's time for another sitting pose, and I'm just going to do the same thing as I've done in the last video. Of course, I'm not going to draw the same thing, but I'm going to only show you how I go on to draw the sketch, the pose, but I'm not going to draw the details. I'm not going to draw the clothing, the shading, the coloring, the hair, the facial features, none of that. I'm just going to draw the sketch, show you guys how I do that and how to get the proportions right, because that's what I think is the most important step of an anime drawing at least. So let's get started. So unlike the last video, I actually have an image in my mind right now before I started this video. So I just want to draw that that drawing. Also, I found out that in my last video, the human was a little bit too small, so I'm gonna draw it a little bit larger this time. I hope I can get this whole thing to fit into the video though. I think it's gonna fit in. Okay, so this is gonna be the head. And she is, okay, it's a she by the way, and she's gonna look at us from a slight angle like this. So her head is gonna be tilted like this and then a little bit backwards away from the camera, like that. Okay, so that's just the sketch for the head. Now let's get on to this part. So I want her to have her shoulders like this, so her body is going to be facing the left side. It's almost the same as my last video, but instead of sitting very upright, the last video was like that, I'm going to have her lean backwards, where her shoulder makes her push on the place. She's like sitting on a bench or something, and then her hands is gonna be placed on the side, a little bit behind her back, something like this. Okay, like that. I'm a little bit messy right now, trying to get this right. So first of this shape, this is the shape that I usually use for the rib cage, and then this is the center of the rib cage. So her breasts are here. I think she has a way too large head right now. I think I'm just gonna regret this and then just increase the size of it like that. Okay, beautiful. Now let's get on to this part where I just continue on downwards. So she's gonna lean backwards. Okay, the other arm is gonna be behind her back, so it's not gonna be visible at all. As for this part, and by the way, it's very important for you to remember to get the directions or the perspective to be correct. First, with the rib cage, what I like to think of it is like a trapezoid, a prism, or whatever you call it, something like this. Okay, that's how I like to think of the shape. This is the shape of the rib cage. Okay, of course it's not exactly in proportions right now. I'm just trying to show you guys how I try to think of it. And then I'm going to place it here and also add some rounded corners. And because on the lower side it has to be like bent like this instead of that one. That one's kind of like behind. And the same thing goes for here, a little bit bent like this. This part is just a cylinder or something, an elongated cylinder, elliptical cylinder. And okay, it's pretty alright. So I would have preferred to have her lean a little bit more backwards, but at the same time she's kind of like facing the camera, so it's okay. So let's go on to add some curvature here, a large curvature, just as if she was sitting upright. When she sits upright, it would be very bent. And the same thing goes for here, where it's just like sitting upright, but the whole body is just lean a little bit to or backwards. So this looks awfully similar to my last video. So I'll try to add some variations. Like for example, I can make her legs. I can make her sit like this. Okay, kind of like that. And then the other leg can be like on it. So it's kind of like that pose. And that's not bad, not bad, not bad. And here it's very important that you get the length of the leg to be correct. I've said that in my last video. And how you do that is that she's about this tall without her legs. So her legs should be around the half of it. So like that. So it's a little bit too short right now. So I'm just going to erase it and make it longer. But this part doesn't have to be that long because she's slightly facing towards the camera. So it's not going to be in full length. If you understand perspective, when it's facing camera, it doesn't have to be, in full length. So I'm just going to increase the length a little bit. Man, I have to erase the whole thing. Okay, when I get here, just continue on it. So I think it's all right. I don't want to spend too much time trying to measure it. The ideal case is that when you can see by yourself with your own eyes, like if the proportions are correct, and you get the proportions right by just looking at your drawing. That's what I'm striving to do, but of course I'm not that good yet. Okay, so I'm just going to make her. So we got the pose to be pretty much done, but I'm just gonna explain a little bit more on some kind of subtlety that I've done while drawing this. For example, when I drew the legs, what I think of is a cylinder that grows from this pelvis. The pelvis is a very fluid shape. It doesn't have a very rigid shape like this rib cage, so it's really hard for me to explain how it works. Normally, you want to think of it as like two large spheres. That's going to be the base of the leg. So the leg is kind of like, I like to think of it like that. Okay, so if you continue down from this rib cage, okay, so this is the thing in the middle, the belly, or whatever you call it. Okay, so when we get to the hip or the pelvis, I usually like to add these two lines to indicate the separation. That it's kind of like, I don't know what it is. And then you kind of have like two spheres here, and then your leg just grows from it. See? And then the other one here, and they're also gonna make up the butt that's gonna be on the back. Okay, so that's kind of like how I like to think of it, and that's what I've done here. But of course, it's not exactly like that. You just have to be experienced with the whole shape of the hip. It's kind of hard. I recommend you guys to do just take a look at the references, or either just take more look at 3D models, just 3D stuff in order to get the proportions right. And then of course, there are a lot of subtlety. For example, here there's an indentation, and then there's a slight curvature up. I've explained this in my last video, so I'm not going to spend that much time on the exact shape of the leg and the arm, because that's kind of like what I've focused in my last video. So you can look that up if you want. But basically I have a slight curvature here and a slight curve. No, actually I don't even have that. It's just a straight line here. And then as for the ankle, it's going to be like this. And by the way, this is way too thick here. So I'm going to curve into the knee. And then we have this this curvy looking thing. And then muscle here, this curvature, and then the other way around here. And then as for the knee, it just goes in a little bit and then just almost completely straight down the line. As for this one, it's almost exactly the same. It's almost exactly the same. I don't even have to tell you guys how to do this. But it has to cover this leg, because it is going to be above it and it's going to go to this side. And that's also why this is a little bit short, because it's slightly facing the camera, so it's going to be a little bit shorter than the other leg. Okay, so as for the feet, okay, let's just focus a little bit more on the feet in this video. So as for the feet, I like to think of it like, so you have this thing, okay, this is kind of like the ankle. Whether you want to draw the ankle is the same thing. If you look at it from kind of like a little bit from above and from the front side, what kind of shape would you get? Okay, so first a rectangle like this. So it's kind of like a cylinder, but it cut in half. Okay. So you have this shape here. Hope you guys understand this drawing. So this is kind of like the what is it called, the ankle, and then, you know, this part of your foot, and then it just grows from these two lines down there to make a kind of like a triangular prism. Okay, so if this side that's facing the camera is the inside of your feet, then you have this, you know, very signature curve here for your leg, for your foot. And then as for the toes, it's just something like this, and then it curves up again, so you have this ball like this. Okay, and then you have the different toes, that whether you want to draw in or not. And also, of course, the size has to be correct. The size is very, very important. It is very often overlooked because people don't spend too much time looking at the size of the feet of people, but you should be able to get this correct. You should, you know, pay attention to it. And by the way, this curvature was a little bit too strange. It should be more like this. And then I just smooth out. Okay, so that's basically how you should think of when you draw the feet, also the ankle here, if you want to draw it in. So here, how do you get the size of the foot? Okay, so I've looked at it, I've drawn it so many times, so it's basically just a no-brainer for me. But normally, I mean, some time ago, I used to use the length of the lower arm as this one, and it should be most likely correct. I've seen this in a television, in a show where they talked about it, and you know, it works. So if you want that, just use that as a guideline. Okay, so of course we have a very different angle right now, so you just have to adjust yourself. You just have to be able to use this 3D shape and put it into here. Okay, so we kind of have a cylindrical shape here, and then the iconic foot shape below, and then I don't even bother drawing this triangular prism, whatever. And I don't even need to join the toes because she's gonna have shoes, so it's gonna be okay. Oh fuck, no, what? I drawing the other, this is the other leg, man. What? I thought I would. Okay, so this foot should have been this foot, okay? So it should have been this one. Okay, I'm just gonna draw the same thing here, but it's so embarrassing. No way, man. How can I make that mistake? Okay, so I drew in the wrong foot for the wrong leg, man. Okay, so I'm just gonna be very quick on this. I don't even care if it looks way too good. You mean I know. I mean, it's just a sketch. The sketch doesn't have to look good. It doesn't even have to look very clean, actually. It's just for your own sake. But if you're good without it being too clean, then it's fine. By the way, okay, as for this one, I'm just gonna use another shape. It's gonna be how should it be? It's gonna be like that. No, I'm kind of like, I can't even see it. What is wrong with me? Okay, so the food is gonna, oh, I get it. I get what's wrong with me. Okay, so we should be able to see the lower part. I mean the bottom of the feet, or the foot on this foot. It's gonna be like this. So that's pretty good. Okay, so what's wrong? I think I just have to move this a little bit higher, you know, because this one should be like much shorter. This is a little bit embarrassing right now. Okay guys, so I think we've focused a little bit too much on the food right now. I'm not even used to focusing so much on the food myself. So it's kind of like I'm getting fucked up by myself. Okay, so how should this have been, man? This is embarrassing. Okay, I'm just gonna have it almost looking at it from the sideways, so like that, and we're done. Okay, when I join the shoes, I'm gonna ignore a little bit of this, but no, this should work as a sketch. This should really work as a sketch. It's not really that bad. Why do I keep on drawing if it's not really that bad? Man, I keep on drawing. I can't stop. Guys, I really can't stop. I just feel like I'm so unsatisfied with this. Okay, so finally, okay, I know I kind of like disregarded this, you know, but you can still see some of this shape on this thing, right? I hope you guys can see this, but behind the back of my mind, I'm still thinking of this shape when I draw it in. It's just that I use a more fluid one because, you know, it's not really a prism. It's not so squared, so it has to be rounded like this. You know, the foot is a very, very complicated shape. It's almost just as complicated as your hands, so you just have to get used to it. It's not easy. I can tell you it's not easy. I spent so much time studying your feet of people. It's not even fun. Okay, as for the arm, because it's already been 15 minutes, I don't want to spend more time on telling you guys how to draw this because I've already explained it in my last video, but you can just follow the shape of the arm that I'm drawing right now, you know. That's just how this arm looked like. That's the shape of that arms are, okay. And then as for the hands, it's gonna, so for some reason I think I have the arms a little bit too short. Yeah, it's a little bit too short, so I'm just gonna increase the size of the shoulder and then increase the length of the arm. It's just a tiny bit shorter though. It's just that, you know, the hand should be pressing on the bench. At least we should be able to reach it, I think. That arms are completely on the bench. Yeah. And as for the hands, I think I'm not gonna spend too much time talking on details anymore because we don't really have that much time, maybe in my next video. So you guys can probably just, you know, follow me on this. But basically it's not too complicated, the hands here, because it's just a very flat hand, and you know, we're looking at it from such an angle that we don't really see this. So, and the other arm is going to be behind, so it's not going to be visible anymore. So that's it. I think we're done. I'm just going to add a slight bump on her chest to make this a girl, and then a better curvature, some fine polishing of the lines here, kind of erase it and forgot to add it back, and then here too, this curvature, and I think actually her feet are a little bit too small. Guys, is it a bit too small? I'm not sure. I think it is a little bit too small. Man, is it? No, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. You know, some girls have a little bit tiny feet. I don't know. I just don't even want to mess with it anymore. But I think we're done really. I'm just fine polishing. I'm just making this line a little bit clearer, and then the other collarbone, and then this line is kind of like, you know, the neck. We have those two lines. I don't know what it's called. And I'm just gonna make this the head a little bit clearer, and I think that's it. I don't think we have to draw in more sketch before we start to draw the details. And when drawing the details, I want to do a time lapse. So what should we be doing? I think I would just add these two dots for the eyes, not dots, the spheres, the circles for the eyes. And that's it. I think that's it for the sketch, and I'm just going to draw the details right now. And I'm gonna be back after the time lapse. And I would try my best to not change anything of this sketch, because you guys want to be able to follow my video. So see you guys after the time lapse. Hey guys, so welcome back after the time lapse. I'm finally done drawing the details. You could probably see, you know, from the time lapse that I had some problems with several parts of my body. For example, my foot, and also I had a very serious problem with this. You know, trying to get these. I tried to make this this tank top a very, you know, which a kind of tank top that has a lot of folds. You understand what I mean? And also a very tight one that's really tight to the body, and then it has a lot of folds, but I couldn't be able to. I wasn't able to draw it such that it looked natural, you know, the folds. So I ended up with something like this, which is kind of unsatisfactory, but I would accept it. And by the way, I have to say something that I've changed. Actually, I haven't really changed a lot. The only thing that I can remember is that this arm I kind of changed the shape so that it's a little bit smaller, so she's a little bit thinner, looks a little bit healthier also, you know, having the more pronounced kind of like, you know, without as much fat, okay? And then as for the foot, you know, it's not really a change, but the thing is, when I draw in this the shoes, because shoes are pretty thick, especially at the sole. It's not called a sole. What is it called? You know, the lower part of your foot, the lower part of your shoe, where the thing that you stand on, the thing that touches the ground. Okay, that thing is quite thick, especially with these Converse shoes. It's not really Converse though, because I haven't added their logo into it. But you know, it is really Converse. But the thing is, I have to move this a little bit closer to the side so that it looks more like a real shoe. And I'm not gonna join the thing because it's not sponsored. Actually, I shouldn't have said the name of that shoe, that brand. Whatever. Okay, so this is so this becomes a lot larger than what we have drawn in the sketch, because it was a naked foot. Okay, so it becomes much larger, and also it changes a lot of shape. You know, shoes aren't exactly shaped the same as a naked foot, so you just have to draw accordingly. For example, something like this. I have actually a video up on how to draw shoes dedicated to that alone. So that's it for my drawing, and I would just add an autograph as usual, or signature, whatever you want to call it. Okay, that was a terrible written, whatever. So thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys learned something new, and hope you guys didn't get discouraged by the fact that you know, I kind of like did this time lapse so you couldn't follow, or I didn't teach you how to draw in all the details. But if you have watched all my videos, it shouldn't be that much of a problem. You know, it's really just like a dress-up game after you've got the proportions of the sketch completely correct. It's really just adding the different details, following your own sketch. It's not. I don't think it's that hard. I think the hardest part is to get the sketch correct. But of course, it does look much better when you add in details. I will be doing videos on how to add the details, more on that in the future, so stay tuned. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. If you like the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more, just subscribe to my channel. See you guys next time. Goodbye.